don't think anybody knows me, so I'll just introduce myself. But back December 26th, the cattle accident. I spent a month in the hospital. Tremendous prayers from everybody is why I'm here. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. If I can help you, I'm here to help you.
Thank you. Okay, we've got the stockyard man gonna stand up right quick and say something. Didn't you bring those hats and sticks?
Yeah, you are.
I'm finna get rid of them.
All right.
But you tell them who you are.
Yeah. I'm J.F. Hansford, Wilkes County Stockyard. Also Hansford Hay Truck and Trailer. We've combined the two in Wilkes County now. Everybody knows the market's really high right now. If you got anything to get the road, now's the time. I know grass is getting up and it's going to be harder and harder to catch them. We got a portable corral. We'll come up and help you any way we can.
That's it. Thank you so much. All right, look, we got 20 hats and 5 working sticks back down the back. We're going to have a contest, see who wants them. Somebody gets the number between 1 and 10.
3, 4.
It was 2. You win. I'll get you a hat. That little girl right there with 4. I thought she said 2. You get a 4. All right. Now number, yeah, you, honey. Get a hat. You get a hat. I'm trying to get rid of some hats. Okay? Yeah, go get one. All right, pick a number between 1 and 10. That's it. You got one. You got one. Y'all 5. Both of y'all.
Okay.
All right. We're going to give away a stick. Pick a number between 1 and 3. 2. All right, you get 1 and 2, y'all. Both of y'all go get a stick. Okay? Y'all better hurry up. I'll give them all away. All right.
Pick one stick for me, please.
All right. How many hats you got there? I got a bunch of hats. Bring me a get that little redhead boy a hat. Go get you a hat, son, and bring me a stick. All right. Somebody pick a number between 68 and 70. All right, everybody says 69, go get a hat. All right, hurry up, we got a big meeting to go. Come on. How many more we got? Yeah, we get a stick.
I hope we have 6 sticks.
All right, what else we got? How many hats we got there? All right, who's got the most children in here? Anybody got more than 2 children? 3. How many you got? All right, you get 2 hats. How many you got?
13 over there.
Man, how many more you got? 3. All right, you get 3 hats. Go get 2 hats. All right, you go get 3, you go get 2, she's gonna get it. How many we got left? Y'all better hurry up, man. They fall in, look for one. What else we got?
1 stick.
We got one. Okay, we go see. Yeah. All right. Anybody here from Deering?
Right here.
All right, everybody from Deering, go get a hat.
I got a hat. Can I get a stick?
We got 1 stick left. Nah. You get a hat, you get a hat. Yeah, you go ahead and get a stick. Hurry. All right, how many hats we got left?
I want one of them.
All right, Marvin.
Go get me a hat.
Go get it. How many more we got?
Warren County Farm Bureau is a sponsor.
All right, Warren County Farm Bureau. Who's here from Warren County Farm Bureau? Honey, you want to say something right quick?
Yeah, I'm Lisa. I'm with the Warren County Farm Bureau. We have a Farm Bureau office, as y'all probably know, in every county. If you haven't talked to anybody at your Farm Bureau, go down there and meet them. This is Caitlin. She's our office manager from Warren County. If you guys need any help with gate cards, anything like that, she'll be glad to help you out. We brought some farm passports. This is our new passport for the year. It's got a bunch of all of our certified farm markets. It's kind of fun to go to the farm, get them to scan your booklet, and there's some prizes that you can get in the back. And it's a lot of fun to get
Okay. All right, thank you so much for being here. All right, we got 1 more hat. Who wants this one? All right, that's my neighbor. You remember that? My cow got that kind of thing. All right, we got to go now. All right, I'm going to Mr. Robert Fountain, he's from Adrian, which ain't all that far from here, is it? When I first met you, I thought you was from like Atlanta. You just got that big city look about you. You know, but he's a real nice fellow. He's been on the beef board forever. But he's also going to talk about a trip you made to Japan promoting beef. So Robert is going to talk a little bit about the beef board, just a minute or two, about where your checkoff dollars go and how they decide where they're going. And then he's going to talk about his trip to Japan. Will that be okay?
And
Y'all
before that, tell about Master Cattleman.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Tammy is going to be doing Master Cattleman's again, which is going to be an 8-week program. The University of Georgia is crazy about us, especially about Tammy. They want us to do it again. 8 weeks, start September the 18th. And it'll be every Thursday except when?
Expo week.
Except
So
Expo
the
week.
Expo, we'll take a break that week.
So, I know we did that about 10 years ago. And it was a great program. So y'all, we want y'all to participate in that. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all welcome Mr. Robert Fountain.
Thank you for that. Does that sound all right? Y'all back good? If I start to fade out, then you just give me a wave and I'll adjust. Thank you so much for having me tonight, Tammy. I appreciate the invitation to come over and be with y'all. I've been in this facility many times. I've never left here hungry. Always good food, good company, good fellowship. So thank y'all for having me. I'm going to move around because I don't like to stay in the podium, so I'll try to stay out of people's way when I start to talk. I do want to say just a few words about the Beef Board. I am chairman of the Georgia Beef Board. That's an 11-member board. 3 of the members are appointed by the Georgia Farm Bureau, 3 of them by the Georgia Cattleman Association, 3 by LMA, the Livestock Marketing Association, and 2 by the Georgia Milk Producers. So that's our 11-member board. I've been on that board since 2002, I believe. And it's a great group of people, and they take very seriously the responsibility that they have to look after your checkoff dollars, because that's what the Beef Board does. And the $1 checkoff that goes to the national, 50 cents to the national, 50 here, as well as the commission, ACC, thank you, I couldn't spell ACC in a moment there. The ACC is the second dollar, and so we also get to leverage some of those dollars for the beef promotions. May is beef month, and during the course of this month, we will have a number of spots in the radio networks across the state. There'll be some features, I think some of them are also going to have some TV spots. So there will be featuring and focusing attention for the consumers on May being Beef Month, and beef is what's for dinner. So listen to the jingle and the logo, and you'll know that your checkoff dollars at work. And a dollar goes a long, long way, and compared to what it was when it first came on in 1986. And cattle have sold for a lot less than this other day, but still just $1 per head. So we take that responsibility very seriously and appreciate all that y'all do. Appreciate the networks that save on helping the collection of that as well. So, okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about an opportunity that I had last fall, a chance to go to Japan. I had never been to Japan, and I had at the summer conference of the Georgia Cattlemen attending the NCBA and the CBB meeting at the summer conference in San Diego. I serve on the International Markets Committee. I've been on that committee for a number of years. And Dan Hallstrom is the chairman of USMEF, that's the U.S. Meat Export Federation. It's a group that has offices all over the world. They're in the 5 major continents. They're not in Antarctica, they're not in Australia, but they're everywhere else. And they promote U.S. products, U.S. beef, U.S. corn, U.S. soybeans, U.S. pork, and a few other commodities. So they go on trade missions periodically. And after the summer conference ended, Dan Hallstrom came up to me and he said, Art, you've been a good member of our committee for many years, and we got a trip coming up that we'd love to invite you to go on. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, it's Japan. I said, I want to hear more. So, I've never been. And so he told me, and he said it's coming up in September the 8th through the 14th. And so he did issue an invitation. I came back, I talked to the members of the big board. We worked it out so that we could take care of the registration reasonably and fairly. And I got some sponsorships to help with the transportation because it is not cheap to get from Atlanta to Tokyo. And it takes 14 hours to get there. 12 hours to get back. But we worked all that out, and so this is the trip. And so if I don't mess up the thing anymore, what did I do? Yeah, I got too far away from it.
Is Amanda here?
Amanda is probably gone.
Where is?
There it is. Okay.
There.
All right. So
Looking for you next.
it is the Heartland team. That was the group that went to Tokyo. And I'm going to try to see if we go to the next slide. She said I have to move around. Tammy,
All right, Bubba, do the arrow.
it's not doing its thing.
Laura,
Do the
you got a hat,
arrow.
didn't you?
It's still on. There we go. Did you do that or not?
Sit down right there.
Okay, so this is the team that went, and they always put me in the back row because I'm taller than some. I'm certainly taller than the cavalry here. This is Mark Goes, G-O-E-S, from Nebraska. Had never met him before, but we became big buddies on this trip, and he is a hoot. We had a good time visiting with him and a lot of the others. There's a group from all over the country. This gentleman here, Jesse represents the pork producers. And I'm not going to go through and name them all, but we were an assortment of individuals from many of the states and representing the corn growers, soybean growers, pork, beef. So this was our group that we assembled together. So our first stop was at the U.S. Embassy briefing. It was held just down the street from the hotel. And this gentleman that's speaking over here is Eric Hansen, and he is the trade representative in the office of the U.S. ambassador to Japan. So he has a very important role, and he is one of the ones that stays regardless of the change of administrations and ambassadors. He's been on the ground in Japan for a number of years, and he gave us a briefing on the status of the things in Japan, what was going on with U.S. trade, and of course a lot of things. I'm not going to get into that because there's a lot of things spinning around on trade right now. We all know. All we got to do is listen to the news. But so we talked about the trade issues, and that was a very informative session. We went to one of the first retail stops, and this is the Aeon retail visit. And it's a retail chain. It's not unlike Publix or Kroger or any of those chains that we're all familiar with in this country. And if you close your eyes and open them inside, you would think you were in one of our retail outlets. It looks very much the same. Aisles the same way, the food is featured the same way, the meat cases look very similar. And interestingly, most all of the labels are in both Japanese and English. So it's easy to read and look at them, and they're priced in yen, and the yen and the dollar are very close in terms of their value as well. But this was a great stop. I mentioned Dan Holstrom, the chairman of USMEF, that's Dan. The gentleman there, that's Ross Havens. Ross is the chairman of the International Markets Committee. He's from Iowa. He's runs a purebred operation there. And he's a good guy. I know him very well. This gentleman is one of the staffers there. He is from Japan. The entire staff that's in Japan are natives of Japan. His name is Tom. You can't see it there, but it's a lot longer than Tom, but we all called him Tom. And he was the one that did most of the leg work of leading us around and introducing us to the people. This is the manager of the market. But this was an interesting stop because it just was so similar to what we're used to here at home. And the Japanese are very, very up on modern conveniences, the modern packaging. Much of that is the same as we see here in this country. Now, these are just a few examples. Some of the packaged meals that are ready to form and serve. The Japanese consumers are very much into convenience cooking. A lot of them, not unlike the American younger generation, both husband and wife work. They don't want to come home and spend a couple of hours preparing a meal for themselves and kids. So a lot of times they look for some of those meals to be convenience meals. And so there's a lot of varieties that are featured in many of the restaurants. Getting out and walking, and we did a lot of walking, you see a lot of American brands wherever you go. Burger King, Starbucks caught our attention right off the bat. And they're frequented by the locals. They know what they are, and they can be seen in there as well. This was the first night that we had a meal together, and that's a high-dollar white tablecloth restaurant that was. We were hosted there by one of the importers from over there. That's our group. There's good old Mark with his cowboy hat. He's easy to spot. I'm back there in the shadows, somewhere back there. Then we contrast that, and that was a very good meal. It was a white tablecloth meal, but it was unlike any I ever had because I only used my chopsticks. Not really good with the chopsticks, but the portions are already in bite size, the way they're prepared for you. So my biggest challenge was herding up the rice. I had to use a lot of gravy to keep the rice together on the chopsticks, but managed to make it work, and it was very tasty. This is a convenience food, a fast food chain, what we would call them over here. The difference is it's not very big. You go in and you circle around the cooking area and you pick out what is on what they're cooking as for what you want. You don't go by the menu on the wall. You pick out what you want and you take it and you sit down on the tables on the outside. But it works and functions the same way that fast food do over here. This is back in another retail grocery store. That's Dan again. And then again, some of the meat, in the meat cases, that's Ross Havens and some of the other guys, and we were looking at some of the meat. This caught our eye immediately, and that is a tasting station. And it features U.S. beef. And that particular day, they had roast that had been slow cooked into little chunks. And it was delicious. Oh my gosh. And the people, the shoppers that were coming by were eager to try it. And they were all smiles, and we had some of the media people talking to them, and they were explaining how good it was. And so that's featured in a lot of the restaurants over there to help call attention to U.S. beef that's being marketed over there. So this is a great promotion to have this in the stores. That's hard to see. Is there any way to turn this row of lights off without turning the whole thing off? I'm going to turn the dark room. I'm just it's washing out a little bit of this. I don't want to darken the whole room. I wanted to get a shot or two of Tokyo. Tokyo is a big city. It's still one of the, I think it's still in the top 5 in the world in terms of population, and it's a very big city. And that's good right there. Perfect. So the streets, you'll see the streets they're very modern, they're wide, traffic very well, and we did not see traffic jams. There could be some, but we never encountered any. We were right in the center more or less the landmass of where Tokyo is. And I say the center, I don't call it downtown because it goes in miles in every direction except Tokyo Bay. And it's just a very big geographical city. There's two things I want to call attention to very quickly on this. Is one, do you see any trash? You don't see trash on the streets of a big city like Tokyo. And I asked about that to one of the guides, and he said the reason for it culturally is it's to disrespect nature and to disrespect, therefore, the deceased elders of your ancestors to throw things on the ground. And I said, well, where are the trash cans? And so we were riding down the block, and he'd come to a place, and it's not one here, but it would be something similar to that, just a little side spot with a couple of panel doors. And you would walk and push, and it drops it into the trash can. It doesn't say trash, but they just know. They all learn this. They learn it from the time they're taught on the land, all the way through the teenagers. Even the teenagers do not drop trash. And it's just, it was phenomenal. And you ride all over the city, and it's like this. You just don't see it. And think about the American cities that are around. I can name a few. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Goodness, it's just, you can't believe people live there and stuff like this. The other thing that I was going to mention here is it hard to find an American in this picture? No. Not a bit. There he is. He's got that hat on again. I accused Mark of sleeping in the hat. But every time I saw him, I didn't recognize the first time he didn't have it on. But the other thing that I'll say briefly, there's no cars here at this particular moment. But we noticed, and I wasn't the only one, that I don't hear any horns. They're not blowing horns. And so cars are going out left and right, and they're stopping at the lights, and then they're moving, and after they change, they hear you. The light hasn't changed yet. Come, let's go. They don't blow the horns. And if you've ever been in New York City, you know that they crank it up and start blowing the horns. New York, I've never heard some horns. But again, it's the culture. That's disrespectful. You blow the horn, it's an emergency. Makes sense. When you think about some of our cities, the horns blow all the time just because somebody changed lanes in front of them. But that was interesting.
Are there any vagrants on the street?
We did not see any. There were some public areas where they could have been, but we did not see any.
That's good.
It was interesting. Good question. This was one of our next stop on the second day. This is a professor at the Culinary Institute, and these are all prospective young chefs. That's about half of them. It's a big room, and he was conducting a class of these chefs and was doing some cooking and demonstrations. And we had an opportunity to also address this group. They wanted somebody to do the pork and somebody to do the beef, and they wanted us to present information about what we did back in the United States. So Jesse from Missouri was chosen to do the pork, and he did about a 10-15 minute presentation, and then I followed him, and I was asked to do the beef, and they wanted to know what I did and what my cattle on my farm were like, and things of this nature. And so we gave them a little slideshow. That's a slideshow that's going on there. That's some of the, you can't see it, that's two of my bulls, and then I had some random shots of calves and cows and things that I did with grass and such. So I started my presentation, and I've got a script to follow, and this is an interpreter. It's a very nice lady. But before we started that, there was one of the staffers over here, young lady, Tuisha, sweet as she could be, and she spent a little time with me, and she coached me to remember how to say, "Good morning, I'm glad to be with you today," in Japanese. Now, I can't say that now, because I haven't done it in 6 months, and this is something, a language, it's not your language, you have to get into a rhythm and repeat. But I said that, and then the smiles that I got from the room was interesting, because you make an effort, and they appreciate that. And even though I continued with the interpreter, they acknowledged that. And then when I finished, I said, "Thank you very much for having me. I wish you well with your careers." And she said, "I got it out exactly right." So that was a joy to do. And the kids were so attentive. There were no cell phones. They were focused on listening to us, eye contact. They asked questions through the interpreter. Just very, very interesting. And we just had a great time with that presentation. That's the staff.
Question there. Why are they wearing a lot of masks?
I'm sorry?
A lot of them are wearing masks. Is there any reason?
Yeah, some of them, it's still optional.
Optional.
They don't have to
Still
do
hang
it,
over.
but it's just personal preference. You see some of that on the streets, not as much, but occasionally they do that. More when they're in groups, like close together groups. That's a good question. And we got a picture there. That, again, that's the chef in the middle. We got all of us to stand with them. And so that, like I said, we were featuring both beef and pork. And so that was another shot of the group. So this was the students up in the corner there. And we also were able to have some sampling done. And this is Mike from up in Nebraska. Mike's a soybean grower. So in some of these stations, they had a 10 of these stations set up and had different things that the chef had prepared. And a lot of the students would go to each place and we would rotate around and stop, and the interpreter was there with us at each table, and they would ask questions and we would get answers. And this young lady is from South Dakota, and she was giving a gift to them, some of the students. In our walking, we come across a lot of shrines. And the shrines are part of old Japan. When you think about Japan and some of the pictures you've seen over the years, you'll see the trends toward these. And this is something they've retained, they continue to keep. It's more like a park, a place to go to have quiet time, to meditate, to sort of get away from the world that's all around it. So that was interesting too. They're all over the area, all around throughout the city. A lot of vegetation, a lot of plants. Not as much grass. You don't see much grass growing. Even on the little sides between the sidewalks and the buildings, there'll be a strip and you'll be covered with either ivy or little small bushes. So very little grass. But they value the vegetation. Like I said, you see American brands, just look up, and every now and then you'll see one riding down the street. This was preparation for our trip over to Sendai. Sendai is 250 miles to the northeast of Tokyo. And we were going up there for 2 visits, and we got to take the bullet train. It's not a very good picture of the train. It's the nose of the train is in another slide, you'll see it in a minute, but it's very aerodynamic because the thing goes out in the open countryside 200 miles an hour. And it's huge. I'm telling you that. You don't have the same sensation that you would because everything up close is blurring by, but everything in the distance would be just the same as if you were going 60 miles an hour and you were looking out there 200 yards. But what was funny was when we would meet another one of the bullet trains, also doing 200 miles an hour, you felt it as it went by, and it went by in about 2 seconds. That's where we were boarding the bullet train. A great mode of transportation. There's no sensation of movement from the moment you start pulling out of the station to the time you're up at high speed, to the time you decelerate and then stop. It's an amazing technology of how they've done that. And the tracks and everything, it's just, you're like you're riding on air. It's so smooth, so rich. Okay, so the first stop when we got to Sendai was the Hani Foods Processing Plant. Everybody know what that is? That is a beef tongue. This is the tip we're familiar with, if you've ever been licked by a cow. And that is the end where it's attached to the jaw. This plant processes 100% beef tongues. And the vast majority of them are U.S. beef tongues bought in huge quantity from the packing plants that come out of the feed yards. The reason for that is that the tongue is a muscle. And it's once you cut and peel the tough covering off of it, the meat underneath has the same texture of any other muscle on the animal. And they exclusively want tongues that come from the feed yards, because these animals that are finished, that muscle will have the same kind of flavoring and texture that the quality cuts also have. If you took a tongue from a cow that has never had any finish, it would have some flavor, but it would be very tough. That's not what they're after. They're after this. This is a byproduct for us for many years, because it took the cover off and tossed the muscle in, with the rest of it got ground up for hamburger. But they're selling it to the Japanese for $18.75 a pound. That was what they told us at the time. And they did it by the and like I said, it doesn't take away from the U.S. We don't consume it here except in hamburger. So that's a high dollar add-on to what we do, sell some products.
How much that tongue weigh, 3 or 4 pounds?
I would guess that probably maybe they'll do that for right range.
$70 a ton.
This is where they're processing it around and stripping it, and then it's this is what it looks like when you cook it. They cut it in strips, usually 2 by 3 or 3 by 4 inches, and it's either grilled or stir fried, or there's a number of ways that they fix them. So they're very tasty. We have them more than once. Yes, ma'am.
And our processors here, do they all use tongue in our hamburger meat?
In which meats?
Our hamburger meat.
Hmm.
Do all the processors put tongue in our hamburger meat?
They can, because it's just red meat. I don't know that, I don't know if it's a high percentage anymore.
I think $17,
But I was a little skeptical, but I tried it. It's good. Jim Duval went to China a few years ago, somebody knows him, they had president. Jim said he liked to start the devil there trying to change it. They didn't feel us in. I did eat some